Hey, good morning. It is the Dev Talk Show on March 13th, Friday the 13th, which might explain why right now you just see one person here. But that's not really the reason. There's nothing bad that's happened to Rich. He's actually going to be joining us in just a moment. There it is. There it is. There it is. A little dark. I don't know if that has anything to do with Friday the 13th, but Rich is here. Welcome, Rich. How you doing?
Good, Chris. How are you? I actually jumped into StreamYard in the studio right as you were saying good morning as we were going. I'm like, well, I'll give you a chance to get started.
Yeah. But here we are. I don't know. We have what I'm really thrilled about is that, even though we're a small show, we do have a worldwide audience. And so I don't know if Friday the 13th means the same thing everywhere. And I want to say that I think I heard somebody say that there were 2 this year, and maybe that's unusual, but I don't know if that's true or not. So I don't know. I don't know if any that's, I actually haven't even paid attention to whether there were 2, but here we are.
Well, there's 2 back-to-back because of February only having 28 days and everything.
Oh, well,
4 weeks.
yeah.
Right?
Look at that. There is some deductive reasoning that I just completely forgot about, is how February and March are always line up, unless it's
Except the leap year.
a leap year. Yes. We wouldn't be developers if we didn't have rules and exceptions. So here we are.
Sad that we have to keep those in our heads, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just noticed that I had a bug in the title where the word 4 is the number 4.
Oh.
But here we are creating the Blazor Pizza dashboard. If you were here yesterday, and that was the show title for yesterday, I've since changed it to say that we're hosting MCP servers and APIs locally, but still using Foundry. And I definitely kind of want to cut that show down a little bit. But today we have if you've been following along, let me go ahead and get us going here. That's great. I always forget that I need to share. So if you've been following along with us, then what you know is that we have been, for the last month or so, maybe since the beginning of the year, we have been building this workshop, a Python-based workshop to build your own pizza ordering agent using Microsoft Foundry. It uses a lot of features of agents, such as what we know as RAG, which is custom documents were uploaded to Foundry, and I think I'm saying all of this right. It's a knowledge base that a vector store was created from, that the agent can use to basically look up answers. There's a custom local tool to calculate how much pizza you need, and an MCP server, which talks to an API. So what this particular project pretends is that the API might be this existing API. It's already out there, maybe to build your own website, to show a menu and to order pizza. But now an MCP server sits in front of it so that an agent can also read the menu off to you and order pizza. I guess the best way to think of MCP servers is they give agents like hands and feet and abilities to go do things, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I think the other way I describe it is it's kind of like your tool belt, right? What tool do I have for this particular purpose to answer the user's question?
Yep. And so this is all inspired by a video from AI Dev Days. All of this is in the show notes if you're watching on YouTube, down in the description below. And the last piece of the puzzle here, the workshop will help you build the agent, connect it to Foundry, or use the agent from Foundry, and then build your own console app that lets you converse with the agent and see what's on the menu, order pizzas, and so on. What the workshop does not cover is building the MCP server or building this dashboard that is basically contacting the API and figuring out if orders are available, are they in progress, are they complete. The API handles that. The API handles promoting the statuses, but the dashboard is, and yes, when we implement this, you're going to see it uses a polling mechanism. So we C# and .NET developers have better ways. But right now, the first step is let's just get to feature parity. If you ever want to work on the workshop yourself, I have included the link to their workshop, and eventually we kind of want our repository here to be more of a workshop. But right now it is hosting the samples and including instructions for you to try and follow along. So after that big mouthful, the good news is that unlike yesterday, our agent is up, it's running. The MCP and API are running locally, and we've already updated our Foundry agent to go to a tunnel. Happen to be using ngrok today, but you could use dev tunnels out of Visual Studio or the ports feature in Visual Studio Code. Those will all work. I know they didn't work so well yesterday, but they will all work. So this agent's already running. It's ready to go. What we don't have, the API, this API is running locally. So like if I say that I want to place an order, which is what this post request does, then it created an order, and that's it. It's working right now, and I could basically get the status for this, replace it over here, send a request, and see that it's on its way. So what we're going to do is we are going to build a Blazor based, already up in GitHub right now. You'll see all the rest of the code, but we're going to build a Blazor based web dashboard, because we're .NET developers. We know whatever they used in Python is great for Python, but we are going to use Blazor. So let me just type Blazor and get a Blazor web app. And let's call this PizzaBot web. PizzaBot.web is good enough for me. It could be PizzaBot.dashboard. And by the time I get this up into GitHub, which will not be during the show, I'm not going to push this up during the show. It's possible that I may call it PizzaBot dashboard or something. So we don't need authentication for this. We'll go ahead and configure to allow HTTP. Let's use the Blazor server interactive render mode. I don't know that matters. Perhaps we could have an interesting conversation about whether we want it to be auto. Because auto could be interesting, where basically but server will keep it simple today, because then we don't have to worry about the client project and the server project. But one of the things that I think we want to do, Rich, is we want to explore the productionization of things. I eventually want this all to be something we put up in, we can use, we'll use Azure, we'll put it up there, we'll deploy it. You could deploy however you want.
Right.
And we can even supply, like, I think it'd be a great AZD up scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at the very least, have the infrastructure as code bits there so that you can deploy it to your own environment.
Yeah. So let's see, interactivity. I don't know that this matters too much. I don't think it matters. I don't want to be wrong about that, though. Making it, whether I should make this global. I think I'll make it global. Okay. So just going to create this project. And when we do, so if you've never created a Blazor project before, we get a program CS that we'll look at in a second. And your pages and Blazor components are all stored in this folder. And then your static files, maybe CSS or something, is stored there. So let's open up program CS, take a quick peek at it. What makes this a Blazor server app is the fact that we added Razor components, first of all, and interactive server components to the container. And then a little bit later, those get mapped. We map the Razor components, which basically is a fancy way of it saying it goes through and looks for page directives and says, okay, that's where, when somebody goes to a page like this, then this is the Razor component that I want to render to run the page. And this basically says, hey, don't forget, we are in Blazor server for the interactivity. I don't know. Let's see. There are some things we don't need. Let's see. We don't need weather.
No.
So I'm gonna just go ahead and delete that.
Yeah. Same with counter.
And we don't need the counter, right? We'll see what else we do from here in a moment.
Errors. We shouldn't need that, right?
I'm sorry. Oh, was that a joke or like? Okay, I was gonna say. Do you really want me to delete it? Okay, so I think other than that, we're good. I don't know that we really need the nav menu, but we'll think about that in a second. Okay, let's see what else do we need. I'm wondering. I'm hoping that I don't need anything from. I'm really hoping I don't need anything from the big solution. So we need a way to call. Well, let's just run it real quick just to see this run. The thing that sometimes is tough about these kind of demos is that they're not exciting until you get to a certain point. But here we go. Hello world. Welcome to your app. We've already deleted counter, so that doesn't work. We've already deleted weather, so that doesn't work. We may just get rid of the nav menu because I don't know that we really need it. Yeah. But let's build the supporting infrastructure, which is to say that this particular app is going to need to call services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a solution folder here, and I'm going to call it services. And it's very possible that you might want to pull this out into a class library. But I think sometimes, I kind of want to see how things work. And then I sort of get inspired to say, this is reusable. Let's go ahead and move it. And what I need is some kind of order service that basically we can call to say, go get the orders from the dashboard.
Okay.
Sorry, I said that wrong. We're the dashboard. Go get some orders from the API. Go find out what's currently in progress. Well, if we're going to be calling an API, we're going to need an HTTP client, and we'll let Blazor's and ASP.NET Core's injection deal with that. I love that college try from the Copilot IntelliSense. I think that's pretty cool. It gave it a run, but it isn't wrong. We need a way to get orders. So let's have a method. Whoops. I think I accidentally built the project. Boy, that was like 2 for 2 there on the fails. So we need a method. We need a method that gets orders. Now, let's see. You know what? I do need shared models. Look at that. I need shared models. That's okay. I'll bring that project in.
Okay.
Because we already have an order response.
Yeah.
Okay. So in any case, our get orders async, it isn't really all that complicated. It basically just figures out what string we want to build. Do we want to get all the orders if we don't ask for a specific one? Or do we want to get orders of a certain status? And then let's just call and get it. And we'll return an order response after we kind of, have get from JSON async, figure out the types that go to it. So I should be able to add, let's see. I can add a project reference, right? Here we go. And now I may have to browse to it, but if I go to where the PizzaBot is, I just didn't want to interfere with that. And maybe I even knew as I was doing it, I was like, am I making a mistake here? What I don't want the component. I want a project reference. Did I pick the wrong thing? I want a project, shared projects, browse. I was pretty sure that I could say add project reference, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I have to be in the solution. I think I can pick project files that are not, but it's weird that it's only wants component files here. That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to set this.
Thing?
Is it what?
Is it a studio thing? Because everything's in a solution. And if you're not in that solution, I mean, you can certainly bring in a project by pointing to the project file.
Right. Now I'm wondering if I'm picking the wrong thing. Let me come here to dependencies.
Add existing project, maybe? Yeah. Or a project reference. Yeah. I think you got to browse.
See, I just don't want it to be component files. So let's do this. Like you said, add existing project, I think. Existing item, right?
I would probably add it at the solution level.
Okay.
Like right click on the solution.
Which I did. Okay.
Are you sure?
This is what I want. See, that didn't do it.
No. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we were on the solution.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for saying that.
Okay.
You were right. You were right. Okay.
All good.
All right. So here we go.
That's nice.
That's shared. And now I would like to believe that it's going to even help me out with the using statement. No, it didn't.
No, I think so right now it doesn't see the project, right? There's no project dependencies.
That's a good call. Thank you for waking me up on so
hey,
now
coffee. It's got to be good for something. There you go, project reference.
Yes, this is what we were looking for.
Right.
All right, so now I should be able to come here and it's you shared models. Okay, perfect. That works. All right, sorry about that little detour. Now, the next issue is this JSON options. This comes from system text JSON. So I was kind of hoping that I might not have to do anything else, that would just work. But let's say system.text.json. And
it's gray. It's like it doesn't recognize that one. All right, so why is that now ASP.NET Core?
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay. So the other thing that I need is in order to get status for an order, we're going to have a second method to do that. And I know what the problem is. I'm sorry. And what the problem is that I kind of buried the lead intentionally. Is that first I wanted to show the two methods that we're going to have that the Blazor app can use, and then finally we need a way to bring in the JSON serializer options.
Okay.
And so JSON options was not something from JSON serialization options is from system. So we have our service. Now hold on a second, because
I think our executive producer needed to said, you guys got this. He's going to go off and do other shows that are running in the background. And so
our assistant producer apparently has a meeting to get to or something. All right. So now that we've done that, we have an order service. Okay. Let's go back to program CS, because we're going to want that order service to be part of the dependency injection. In order for it to work, it's going to need to know the URL. And without really going into detail, the API is running on localhost 7071. So for this particular version, without doing any configuration at all, because this is going to come up null, I'm not going to bother configuring it right now. We're going to attach to the local database. And then let's create an HTTP client that we can use in our Razor pages that will take the order service. So this is a typed HTTP client, which is a pretty cool feature. And we're just configuring it with the base address. That's all.
Okay.
So I really think there might not be anything else to do in program or in order service. So we've got a typed HTTP client. It's already wired up for us. And what we need is we could reuse the home page, or we could create a new page. I think it would be okay to reuse the home page because there isn't a whole lot going on here.
No, I mean, just we need to take out the menu. That's the only thing that's on the homepage still, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So
No, I agree.
let's just say, let's say that we use the home Razor that exists. And a couple things that we're doing is we're saying, so we could have, and I must have, when I did this to try it out, I must have done per component, because I set it to global. This isn't going to interfere with it. We're basically saying that this is an interactive server page, a Blazor server style page.
Right.
Change the title and gave it just a really simple name, Contoso Pizza Dashboard. And we don't have any code yet. That's fine.
Okay. Do we have CSS that does that dashboard bit?
Yeah, we'll have to bring in the CSS. This is what it looks like right now. I think you're right that we can get rid of the nav menu.
Yeah.
But that's it, right? Nothing special. We put loading up. And the reason why we put loading up is we can always replace that when the code actually figures out like the actual whatever it wants to show.
Exactly.
So I think what we can do is we can go to app.razor, and am I right about that? Maybe it's not app.razor. It could be routes.razor. You know, it's funny. Remember when I used to be really good about all this and know exactly where everything was? Okay, its main layout is where I want, and here's the nav menu.
Okay.
Now, if I do nothing more than take this away, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment it just in case. Let's run it again and see if the nav menu just goes away. Yep. All right.
Cool.
You could take it out of your solution if you want. We'll move on for now. We need to wire up the service. So let's go to our home.razor. And what will we need? Let's see. We need some more directives. If you've never used Blazor before, you can use a directive like this to just like a using statement that you would use in a class or something. And we are going to need a few things. Let's see. What's our service namespace called here? PizzaBot.web.services.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's bring that in. And interesting though, you don't have to put semicolons at the end. Now, remember how if you're familiar with ASP.NET and you've been using it for years, you may have been using dependency injection by adding services just like this. We can add services to our Blazor components too, but you use the inject keyword, or directive is what it's called. And so now this order service is going to be available to us down here in code. I can just say order service, and I can call stuff on it. At least I should be able to. Oh, actually, we're going to need one. We need to instantiate it first. Equals new. In fact, I think we can use what's called a target typed new declaration. I'm pretty sure is what that's called.
Nice.
Oh, that's odd that
didn't like it.
Oh, because we didn't inject the HTTP client. So, let's see.
IHTTP.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we did not have to. We have to inject the HTTP client. Don't we have to do that?
You mean have another inject statement?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about it more from the class side because we're in code. You would, yeah. I think you're right. I think it's an inject.
Right.
So it's testable. Cool.
It didn't really work though. That did not work. And it's because, why didn't that work? You know what? I think it said I don't need to new it up.
I don't think
Here.
you would new it up. Yeah.
Yeah, let's maybe I shouldn't get distracted too much there. Okay, so
move on. I'll take a look for that.
Yeah. All right. So we've injected the order service. What we want to do is I want to say, I don't really need the loading. Let's do this. These are the orders counts of the system. And then what we really do is so in a Blazor component, your initialization function is on initialize to sync. So in fact, there it is. It wants to help me do it. And actually, I think even did it correctly. So the only thing that I don't have is I didn't declare a list of orders. So basically what's going to happen now is in on initialize the sync. Okay, this is the mistake. I was sitting here trying to initialize it kind of foolishly, forgetting that implicitly order service was already created and injected for me. This is just not having used Blazor in a little while. Just by using the inject keyword, the order service was created and injected for me. I don't have to new it up. That was my brain, a little bit Friday morning brain. But so what I'm doing is when the Blazor component is initialized, when it's ready to start, this is going to get called. It's going to call the order service, which is going to call our get ordered as async method and get the list of orders into a field. And just by doing that right now, we can run the app. If we don't do anything else, we should be able to run the app. And it says there's one order in the system. That's cool. That was the order from a little bit earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get that pizza agent that's operating right now. And I'm going to say, I would like to order let's try the Bianca pizza, one Bianca pizza. And then I want it to do it really quickly. My name is Chris and my user ID is TS dash whatever, because user IDs aren't really implemented right now. Go ahead and place the order and tell me how much it will cost, something like that. And so that goes out to the agent, as we already know. Now that I spelled Bianca wrong, let's see if it decides to double check or, oh, is this actually on a breakpoint? I may have, yes, I am on a breakpoint. So if you were wondering whether or not this is actually running, let me bring this over. I do happen to have a breakpoint on the MCP server. The place order tool was called locally. So it really is running locally. And order ID is done. Total cost is $13.50. Enjoy your pizza. If I hurry back to the dashboard, nothing happened. But if I refresh, 2 orders in the system. So it works, but I have to refresh. And the reason why is because even though this is a Blazor server page, we're still kind of running on the server-side rendering kind of rails because we have no code to do anything other than initialize it, and on initialization, go find out how many orders or go get the orders.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to add a timer. And that might seem kind of weird. And in fact, in the future, I would like to turn this into, I think maybe like a SignalR based implementation so that it listens to the API. The API does not expose the SignalR hub yet, but that might be interesting to have that work. So there is a Blazor component method called onAfterRender. And so this is going to run right after it renders, and we're going to double check to see, we're going to basically say, let's create a new timer, set it for 10 seconds. We'll await the order service, and then we're going to call an infamous Blazor method, state has changed. When Blazor was kind of new, you had to call this yourself in a lot of cases that I think have really faded. So in some respects, state has changed, just sort of faded into Blazor history. I think, look, some of you Blazor experts out there be like, no, I still call it for certain reasons. But I don't feel like you have to do it as much anymore. So let's go ahead and we'll stop the Blazor app and we will run it again. And so onAfterRender is being hooked into to basically update this dashboard for us. It's already saying there's 2 orders in the system. Let's go back to our agent and say, I also want to order 3 pepperoni pizzas. Go do that. And so it should call the agent should hit the MCP tool, calls the API places the orders, and on after render, and the timer is picking up the new order in the system. But it's only going to pick it up every 10 seconds. It's not going to be instant. I think as .NET, ASP.NET developers, we may improve that someday. But this is kind of what the Python app did. So there it is. We talked a little bit about what on after render does, about how invoke async is a way for you to put a work item. It's kind of like, if you remember in WPF and in WinForms, how you would push back to the main thread. You could basically invoke a method on it, so that way, if you weren't sure, especially in an async method, if you weren't sure if you were on the main thread to talk to controls, which is a no-no in WPF and WinForms, you got to be on the main thread. You could invoke back to it. That's essentially what that's doing.
Okay.
Now, there's something missing though. We're not seeing anything more than just the count of orders. So we need a little bit more than just how many orders are in the system. And we're going to kind of splat this in and then take a look at it. I don't even really want this anymore. Let's make a little space here to just splat it in. And boom, here we go. So what is all of this? Apparently there's a method that we have to, well, we'll figure that out. Okay. So we're going to create a table, and the table will now go ahead and show us the status of multiple orders. And remember, we do have an orders array that was more, we were just looking at the count of the array, but that order response has information about the order. And we can just splat it out. We can say, hey, put the nickname for the order there. Let's put what's the status. And now the status, we're going to give it a badge, so that instead of it just being wordy, there'll be different. You might have saw, if we were here last time, there were different colors. And then we need to format the time so that it looks pretty when we splat the time out. But we need a method we need a little quick method to do that. So let's go, let's see, here we are down in our code. Let's add to it. And let's just create a little format time method that takes whatever the a time from Blazor. Blazor's passing in this time. And I'm sorry, not Blazor. The client side code is passing in this time. It's going to be in ISO format because that's what happens in JavaScript. And we just parse it out to a prettier string. That's all.
Okay.
We also added a couple private methods just to know when the thing was last updated, and also to store the what a status response is for, because status responses we will start looking up in a moment. Was that I don't know what that was. That's interesting. I got, maybe it was your machine. I got like I heard a little bling, but it doesn't matter. No big deal. Now, what we want to do is, I talked about getting status. We have a get status async method, if you recall, but we're not using it yet. In fact, this isn't happy because what we need in order for it to work is we need, let's see, this timer method. I also want to, on timer, I want to also call, wait, let me think. Yes, I think this is right. So when the timer fires, I also want to call get status async and set the last updated time, and also set the status, which is what we just created all this other, a private variable, and we were referring to it in the render code, but except that it was like saying like, no, that's not, here it is. This isn't real. Unclosed. Oh, do I have an unclosed tag? Is that for real? I think I do. Okay. Okay, good. That's better. The only thing is, though, is that and this is a little bit of, there's some code duplication here, so we could think about fixing this. When we initialize, we'll also get status and set the last updated time.
Okay.
All right. So now let's rebuild all this. And our Blazor dashboard now has a table showing us the statuses, and it's It's auto refreshes every 10 seconds. This is the last time it was updated. Let's sit for a second and see if we see this updated time. Yeah. Or 10 seconds, as it were. I was hoping, you know what? There it goes. 42. Sounds good. 42. That's perfect. So now let's place another order. I would also like to order 2, what are they called? Vegetarian pizzas. Get that moving. And place the order, $27. And here we go. Here's our new pending order for 2 pizzas.
Nice.
Now, this looks kind of ugly, right?
Well, I think we could do some things to improve it for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier.
I dropped the name up there and say, hi, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. So you mentioned about CSS.
Yeah.
And you were right. So let's head into here. By default, you get an app CSS, which is kind of, I mean, look, it's just got basic stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a CSS here that I have CSS code that I'm ready to add with classes defined, CSS classes defined for the dashboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it. There's all kinds of stuff that basically is adding a dashboard class, defines what we should do with our headers. It defines what the status looks like. What does the orders table look like? What does a status badge look like? And if we head back to the home.razor, we're going to see that our code, our rendering code, is making use of these classes, right? So this is all the empty state versus order table. This is all basically ready to use. And so I actually think if I save this, because this isn't code to be compiled, I believe that it just, here it is. It just takes effect. That's pretty cool. And in fact, you know, I remember Blazor Hot Reload, I think we had high hopes for, and I think it's much better now.
It's getting
better.
But
I've kind of gotten into the habit of just refresh. We'll have to play with that a little bit more, but just throwing in the static file update. Here it is. Here's the complete dashboard. Let's go ahead and place another pizza order so we can see some of this CSS in action. I'm going to say, I also want to order a margarita pizza for our hungry manager, and place the order and do it. And it should basically call the MCP server, calls the API, $12. It'll be ready soon. And that order is pending.
There you go. Can you delay an order?
With the agent, that's very interesting. The MCP server and the API don't have that. So I think what would happen is the agent, if it could theoretically do it, would say like, I'll order it in like 5 minutes. But I don't know how an agent...
It wouldn't have state.
Right. How would the response work? It would almost have to call it... I think it would have to be a tool that as part of placing the order, it says, place the order in the future, supply a date time, right?
Right. When do you want it? Like when you typically order on an app, right? It's ASAP or it's some point in the future.
Right. Now, it is the API, just in case if you want to go look at the code for all of this that we built so far, it is the API that pushes the status through. The MCP server doesn't. And in fact, this dashboard doesn't interact with the MCP server at all. Yeah, it's just calling the API. Yeah. It does it very quickly. It's like a 3-minute thing. In fact, it might not even be 3 minutes. We could always adjust it so that it moves a little more slowly. But that's the pizza dashboard. And that's the final piece of the puzzle when we think about the original Dev Days talk, which is this. Now, the Dev Days talk does not build the MCP server, the API, or the web dashboard, but we wanted to.
Right. wanted to
Because
see
I think where we want to go next is to use .NET Aspire to bring it all together and give us a deployment pattern so that perhaps we've got this all set up. Maybe we'll, through our GitHub repo even, that make a change, get it deployed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, again, it's the kind of production aspect that we like to cover. Like, let's take the skills that we're using, let's take them to work. We actually got a really nice comment yesterday from somebody who they just recently watched the one of our most popular videos, Blazor off at work using Entra ID.
Right.
I think it's something that gets forgotten about, is that people are at work and they want to sign in with their work account to an internal app. And somebody just commented yesterday saying, we really love, I just absolutely thrilled about how we take the next step beyond the demo to like, here's what you would really do at work with this. So I included in the show notes a link to this talk. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to it. This is from Build. It starts off by describing APIs and MCP servers. And I think the reason why is because as of Build 2025, that was kind of a new thing. I mean, in fact, he says in the talk that it's only about 6 months old.
Yeah.
So we're less than we're like less than 2 years out of MCP servers. This talk, I really wanted to highlight for people. I suggest you watch it. It's only 15 minutes. It's about how you could skip the first 5, because if you've been watching us, you know what APIs and MCP's tools are. He goes over why your API is just not simply the MCP server. You don't just take your API and don't just say like, okay, tool per API. And he goes through why that's a bad idea. As we can see right now, problem 1 is listed as LLMs are not good at selecting from a long list of tools, right? Our pizza agent does okay because we really don't have a lot in our API.
And it's very focused.
It's very focused. Yeah, the API happens to be focused, right? Your existing API descriptions are probably not ready. And this is great. I think everyone should watch it. And I think the reason I bring it up is, first of all, like we just said, we want to be more about the demo. What can you learn? But I think whether it's this project or the next one, because believe me, the ideas have started flowing, and I've got a couple other ones that we've been talking about already. And I think you've got some we've been talking about too.
Yeah.
About how the next project might be an API that's designed to manage certain resources, but the tools need to be more intelligent than just handing it off to the API. So that's something that we will be heading towards. And, you know, there's one other thing I think we'd like to do with this project is, if you go to the beginning of this video, this piece here was really cool, where I don't remember the name of the API that we did on the show maybe a month or 2 ago, voice.
It's actually the real-time API.
Okay, so it's called real-time API, where you talk to it and it answered to us live with its voice. Super awesome. I think we might use that here, because in this video, the website, you can talk to it. It answers in voice. It also shows the text, but it answers in voice, and then has this avatar that looks like it's talking. And so I think we can do this too.
I think that would be a fun little side project on this.
And then basically what the goal I want to get to is, this is a complete workshop. You want to recreate the whole thing, you're good.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate to hit up our GitHub repo to see where we're at. The Blazor workshop has to get pushed up here. The Blazor dashboard has to get pushed up here. I wanted to make sure I built it completely separately today, and we did that. And it will end up up on the site there. But yeah, where is that dashboard? Here it is. Doesn't look exactly the same, but that's okay. That was intentional too, because I wanted you to believe me that we didn't just copy. the Python based one. We'll take pull requests on this too if people have ideas for the design. So
definitely.
Cool. The Blazor dashboard wasn't too hard.
No. I'm very surprised how quickly that came together. But that's why we like Blazor, right? It's easy to do those really cool interactive capabilities without a lot of ceremony.
Right. It was a piece of cake. I think it could be auto, and then that way it would bring down a WebAssembly based version of the component, and it wouldn't have to use the Blazor server piece at all. There's some interesting thoughts with that because our orders API is public right now.
Yeah.
And if we thought about it perhaps being a more production version, well, maybe that API shouldn't be public. Maybe it should be a client credential that you as a pizza merchant, you would build your own dashboard for your own shop or something like that. And so now authentication comes into play. And once that happens, client-side code, it still works, but now you have a whole lot of authentication and authorization pieces to worry about compared to just like, hey, the server will take care of it. But I wouldn't sleep on server authentication either. It's tempting to just say like, oh, it's on the server, so it has access to the API. But don't forget, there will always be somebody, especially if your business is valuable, saying, I'm going to try to bypass your front end and see how I can trick your server APIs on the back end. So no matter what, you always got to think about it. All right.
Great
Here
stuff.
we are. Good, short and sweet show. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed it if you were watching. If you're watching this, let me know if you've tried. Let us know now. You can let us know live or let us know in the comments. Have you tried our repo? Have you tried working with Foundry and agents either because of our series or just because, hey, I came here because I'm working with Foundry. I'm working with agents. I'm working with the agentic web. I'm trying to build things. I'm looking for ideas. Let us know in the show notes. Let us know what you'd like to see us do differently. Do you have tips and tricks that it's like, oh, guys, don't do this. It'll cost you later. We'd love to hear it. We're learning along with you. This is an amazing new field that's just opened up in less than 2 years. So, all right, Rich, anything, or are we good?
I think we're good. I think we both have some meetings and things we've got to get moving to.
Right.
So it's kind of
a little early today.
The short show. So it's awesome. Great.
Listen, have a great Friday
on this. So really appreciate all the time.
Yeah, this has been fun. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And we will see all of you next time on the Dev Talk Show.